Welcome to Rails Around York. We will remember the days when the railroad was the center of activity. Express trains with famous names as Broadway Limited, Trailblazer, 20th Century Limited, and Silver Meteor.
Today, the trains are coming back. Truck trains, the double stacks, are bringing new business to the railroads. Congestion on the highways and higher gas prices are bringing the passengers back.
Come along as we see the railroads of today and the past on Rails Around York.
Railroads are the most fuel-efficient and environmentally friendly way to move freight on the ground.
A freight train can move a ton of freight 436 miles on a single gallon of diesel fuel.
Norfolk Southern was the first railroad to appoint a sustainability officer whose job is to minimize the company's environmental footprint. The Green Machine is a tool on our website. It compares the carbon footprint of moving freight over the highway with a smaller carbon footprint by moving freight by rail. Norfolk Southern is also investing in new technology to improve the fuel efficiency and environmental performance of our locomotives. We're also looking for creative ways to save energy at all of our facilities. We're upgrading lighting at 300 locations. That will save about 50 million kilowatt hours of electricity each year. Our environmental commitment extends to conservation. Last year, Norfolk Southern donated a conservation easement that will protect more than 12,000 acres at Brosnan Forest in South Carolina from development. It will also help preserve an important ecosystem and protect the longleaf pine habitat of an endangered species, the red-cockaded woodpecker. Norfolk Southern is committed to protecting the quality of our environment for our employees, our customers, and our communities.
You chose to follow others around the crossing gate. This is the next 60 seconds of your life.
Let's go. Come on, let's go. There's no train. Let's go. I'm going.
No. America's roads can be highways or dieways. The choice is yours.
Heartland Corridor is a public-private partnership that will help Norfolk Southern serve our customers better. It will help us expand our infrastructure, and it benefits the communities we serve through increased industrial development, new jobs, and additional tax revenues.
The goal of the public-private partnership is to increase rail capacity, to relieve the congestion on our highways, to make a more direct and more efficient transportation network in the United States. Public-private partnership is basically an agreement with federal and state and local governments for funding to do projects that really the railroads could not do on their own or would take them many, many years to accomplish.
Roderfield Tunnel is one of 28 tunnels on the Heartland Corridor where we're increasing clearances so that we can run double-stacked trains. Here at Roderfield, we're doing that by cutting a notch in the arch of the tunnels. Right now, we're limited to running single-stack container trains through this corridor. By running double-stack trains, we'll be able to increase capacity and make it much more efficient to haul freight from the East Coast to the Midwest. A public-private partnership is really a win-win for everybody. It's a win for railroads, a win for our customers, and a win for the communities we serve.
We'll get to see it on the way down. Yeah, there's a locomotive up there, huh? You see the train?
How come the water?
If you stand up, you're going to stand back here in the coordination.
Everyone agrees. America faces an infrastructure crisis. Our roads can't handle all the traffic. But there are safe, affordable green solutions if we invest wisely. Think about the products we need for daily life. Everything from building materials and auto parts to clothes, electronics, and food. In the Southeast, millions of tons of these materials move in single-driver trucks along a north-south route. What if, instead, we could move more of these essential items by rail? That's where Norfolk Southern's Crescent Corridor comes in. The existing rail corridor is a 2,500-mile network of track that supports the supply chain from New Jersey to Memphis and beyond to New Orleans, serving some of the biggest manufacturing and consumer centers in the country, and connecting them to the broader marketplace. Norfolk Southern is making improvements to the corridor that will enable it to handle much more rail freight traffic, faster and more reliably. This includes straightening curves, adding passing lanes, double tracks and signals, building terminals, and running more efficient trains. These improvements will generate big public benefits because they will help both trucks and trains in partnership do what they do best. For trucks, that means moving freight short distances. For rail, that means moving freight long distances. Increasing rail's share of freight along the Crescent Corridor could save the country 100 million gallons of fuel a year.
How is this possible?
At full build, the Crescent Corridor should be able to absorb more than 1 million truck hauls each year from interstate highways. On average, a train can move a ton of freight 436 miles on a single gallon of fuel. And every mile that freight moves by rail results in 2/3 less greenhouse gas emissions. These are substantial public benefits when you consider that by 2012, trucks will account for 20% or more of highway congestion.
How can we achieve these benefits sooner? By partnering with government. We can upgrade the Crescent Corridor much faster. The Commonwealth of Virginia has already joined us.
Under the public-private partnership model, Norfolk Southern pays for the benefits it will receive, while state and local governments are asked to contribute to support the public benefits. After all, the Crescent Corridor is an economic advantage for America. It's an engine that promotes jobs, tax revenue, and business growth. It's a safe, clean, fuel-efficient alternative to building new highways. It's cost-effective, and it will be ready to go long before highway projects even get off the drawing boards.
How do we know this will work? We know because we're already taking trucks off the road, investing in our future, and thinking ahead to meet changing demands.
Since the 19th century, railroads have been the lifeblood of the economy. Back then, trains simply connected our communities. Today, we connect our communities to the marketplaces of the world. Norfolk Southern is the leader in modern rail transportation. With the Crescent Corridor, we're investing for tomorrow.
We're committed to transportation, past, present, and crescent.
Join us.
Yeah, this is the basic control stand you find in a lot of the locomotives now. It's actually relatively simple. This is the throttle here. You've got 10 positions on it, stop, idle, and 1 through 8. That increases the diesel engine speed by a certain amount for each notch. And below that, you've got the reverser, which is reverse, neutral, and forward. And that's about all you really need to know on the control stand for what we're doing here today. And over here are the air brakes. This is the 24 brake, which has since been superseded by the 26 brake, which does the same thing but with fewer parts. This one with the red handle is the automatic brake. That applies the brakes to the entire train, including the locomotive. This is the independent brake. This applies the brake only on the engine. Now the automatic brake has got 4 positions on it, about 4 positions on it. Where it is now, it's run, which is what you use when you're just running along. This first position would be right here. This is called first service on this style, and that gives you a slow reduction. And you've got lap is right here, and then this is the application zone. In this zone here, you'd make an application to what the reduction you wanted, then you'd move it back to lap, and you would find that out on the gauges up here, or you do it long enough you can listen and tell just about how much you've got. And then way over, all the way over that way is emergency. It initiates an emergency reduction on the whole train. Now, what you can do with this style brake, if you made, get back in, if you made a reduction and then moved it back to lap, you can press down on the independent, and that will release just the engine brakes, but will leave the train brakes applied. And you use that when you're power braking, and it also says putting brake shoes on the engine too. I guess a brief word about the gauges would be all right too. The gauges up here, there's 2 you use. This first one shows the pressure in the brake cylinder, which is on the engine, and the white will show the brake pipe pressure, which is the pipe that runs the length of the train that supplies air to the brakes in the train. This other one will show you the main reservoir pressure, which will be about 135 to 140 pounds. That's your air supply. And then the white one will show you the equalizing reservoir pressure, which is what you actually make the reduction on, and that tells the brake pipe what to do. You can see on this one, the red, as I said before, indicates the pressure of the independent and the locomotive brake cylinders, which is the independent. By applying the brake, you can also see there's a 25-pound reduction, or right up to 30, to about 45. And it also, with white showing the 90 pounds in the brake pipe, which is basically standard for most freight trains. Passenger trains will be up around 110. And over here, again, the white showing what's in the equalizing reservoir, which generally should be within 5 pounds of the brake pipe. And over here shows the main reservoir. We've got 135 pounds in that. Independent applied, you notice the brake pipe pressure didn't go down at all. Now when you apply the automatic air, you'll notice that the brake pipe pressure goes down, and also that the engine brake supply is indicated by the red one showing the cylinder pressure. Now you can push down on the independent, and that will bail off the engine brake. So now just the train brakes would be applied. That's the air exhausting there. You can see we have a 20-pound reduction in the brake pipe, which is probably pretty close to being a full service reduction. And it's released there. Independent on it. Here is the emergency brake valve that either the conductor or the brakeman can use if he has to stop the train, if something happens to the engineer, or if he sees something that the engineer can't see. He can dump it from here, and all he does is just pulls it down like that. Fairly typical brake arrangement on the cars. You've got the brake cylinder here. You can see the silver part of the piston is out, and that acts on the lever, which goes some other rods and levers, and applies the brakes down on the trucks, which you can see down in here. And the other up top again, you've got the The tank over on the far side is the air reservoir. It's two portions, the emergency portion and a service portion. Then you've got your brake valve here in the middle that tells the basically tells the brake cylinder what to do. And on the end, of course, we've got the brake wheel, which you can use to apply the brakes manually. For instance, when you spot the car or for whatever reason.
Railroad yards are not playgrounds. I know. I worked summers for the railroad. My grandfather and great-grandfather were railroad men. We've seen people hurt and people killed, young people, because they didn't listen to this advice. Stay off the tracks and out of railroad yards. Playing around trains is playing with your life.
Thank you for watching Rails Around York. We welcome your phone calls and comments. Call WRCT at 843-7722. We hope you enjoyed this program.
Good night.